Today on The Young and the Restless, Summer's revelation infuriates Nikki. Nate gives Audra a heads up, and Ashley and Jack make amends. At the coffee house, Nikki asks Summer how things are between her and Kyle. Summer tells her grandmother they're moving forward with the divorce. Kyle has moved on and is happy with how things are going in his life. Nikki asks if there's someone else. Summer says, "Yeah, I'm sure you've heard of her. Audra Charles." Nikki fumes. "Oh my God." Nikki tells her granddaughter she's sorry Kyle is doing this to her. Summer shrugs that she did betray him. Nikki says she and Victor are proof that love can overcome anything. Summer feels that's not always the case. "I've got to let him go, Grandma." Nikki fumes. Audra Charles. She tells Summer this is perfect timing. She's just given her the perfect opportunity to put that woman in her place. Summer doesn't want Nikki to do anything to Audra on her account. If Kyle wants to move on with her, that's his problem. She doesn't want her grandmother stirring things up. Things need to stay peaceful for Harrison's sake. Nikki promises that if she does decide to stir things up with Audra Charles, it will be about a lot more than the situation with Kyle. She needs a strong dose of humility. Summer can't object to Nikki giving it to her. At the GTAC, Kyle asks Audra what she wants for dessert. She coos, "I think you know, unfortunately, it would involve a shower." Nate interrupts and asks if she's heard from anyone in the Newman camp today. Audra has a meeting with Nikki later and wonders what's going on. Nate says it's something they should discuss in private. Kyle makes a face. Kyle offers to head out, but Audra feels he should be part of the conversation. Nate accepts this and tells Audra he's giving her a heads up, but she needs to pretend she doesn't know this when she meets with Nikki. Victoria told him Adam is out completely and Nick is stepping back to Newman Enterprises as co-CEO. Audra says that's Nikki's position. Nate replies, "Not anymore." Audra learns that Nikki will be running Newman Media. Audra guesses she's out. Nate says she's not being fired, she'll be Nikki's second in command. Audra snarks that she doesn't even like her. Kyle asks where exactly that leaves him. In her suite, Ashley hears a noise at the door. It's Jack. She asks what he's doing there. He says Diane told him what happened, and he wanted to see if she was all right. Ashley is still shaken up. Diane saving her life is so ironic it's almost cruel. Jack says it scared the hell out of Diane, who wouldn't have stood there and watched her choke to death. All she cared about was saving your life, and that's what she did. He feels Ashley would have done the same thing for her. Ashley muses, "You really think so?" Jack knows she has a heart and soul every bit as compassionate as their father's. "I cannot believe I almost lost you." He's grateful to God and grateful to Diane. Ashley is thankful too. Jack wonders if it could be a wake-up call to stop fighting and get back to what matters. Ashley reminds Jack she did end the conflict. Jack reminds her she walked away from their dad's company. That's not a resolution he ever hoped for. Jack nearly lost her. His love for her is so much more than all of this anger they've been sharing. "Please let this gift of life be the olive branch that's been eluding us all this time. Please come back to where you belong." At the jazz bar, Billy swirls a drink and angrily flashes back to Jack, doubting him. Adam appears and sits down beside him to order a scotch. Billy muses, "It's funny, actually. For the first time in a very long time, maybe ever, I can see the world through your eyes. And it ain't pretty." Adam wonders what could possibly make him see things his way. Billy lives in the shadow of someone who never feels he'll measure up. He's not just talking about Victor with Adam, it's his entire family. Adam asks, "So what has Jack done now?" Billy says it was a fleeting moment of empathy. They won't be calling each other bro. Adam's not interested in that and reflects on the similarities between their situations. There really is no comparison. He's seen as a cold, manipulative narcissist, while Billy's just seen as a screw-up. He wonders if Jack's threatening Billy's position at Jabot. Billy sighs that he's just waiting for him to screw up again, and it's getting old. Adam thinks Jack is fairer than Victor. If Billy does right by the company, Jack will not cut him loose. Adam then asks, "Is he really waiting for you to screw up, or are you?" In her suite, Ashley tells Jack she's hated their battle too, and asks if he can accept Tucker in her life. He's willing to try. Ashley has been trying to save his life all this time. She thought Diane would be the death of him, but the post-nup checks out and now she owes Diane her life. She will give her the benefit of the doubt for now. Jack reminds her they can just be tolerant. Ashley says if Deanne behaves herself, she will bury the sword. If she takes one misstep, however, she will be back with a vengeance. Jack is confident that won't be necessary. I miss you. I miss my sister. I miss fighting about the important things. He tears up. Ashley, emotional, replies, I miss you. Downstairs in the GCHC, Nate tells Kyle he doesn't know what this means for him. His name didn't come up. Audra tries to reassure Kyle and says she'll speak to his value with Nikki. Kyle smirks that he and her granddaughter are getting divorced. If Nikki finds out he's been seeing Audra, things will get ugly fast. Audra asks, ugly for me, you, or both of us? Kyle says they'll see. She promises to have his back, but Kyle won't hold his breath for this to work out for him. Audra asks him to give her a chance to work her magic. Kyle heads off to work after thanking Nate for the heads up. Nate tells Audra he probably won't survive this. Audra is unconcerned and lets Nate know they're not serious. Nate asks, are you sure that's clear to both of you? At the jazz bar, Billy asks Adam about the information he has to share on Tucker McCall for the right price. Adam is reconsidering. He may need it for himself. Billy snarks, thanks for the tease. That was intriguing while it lasted. With that, he walks out. In Ashley's suite, Jack asks his sister if she's still determined to start a company that will compete with Jabut. Ashley has to talk to Tucker. Jack really only cares that they're not enemies. They embrace. At the ranch, Nikki thanks Audra for coming. Audra gushes over the invitation to meet. Nikki asks her to sit down, offers her tea, and then asks, would you mind telling me what the hell you're doing with Kyle Abbott? Audra tells Nikki what a great job Kyle's been doing at Newman Media. Nikki sneers that the coy act may work with the men in her life, but will get her nowhere with her. I was referring to the fling you're having. Audra guesses they're going there. Nikki informs her they're already there and tells her she's standing in the way of a possible reconciliation. Audra says Kyle is a grown man who makes his own choices about who he wants in his life. Your granddaughter was hardly blameless in their problems. She's not unsympathetic to Summer and knows how painful that kind of thing can be. Nikki recalls Audra broke her grandson's heart. Is this her nature? Audra claims that things were very complex between her and Noah. They broke each other's hearts. She doesn't feel comfortable discussing her private life with her new boss. Nikki guesses Nate told her about the latest developments. Audra just wants to know if she's in or if she's out. Nikki muses, that's a very interesting question. She says that on one hand, every instinct is screaming for her to get rid of her. She doesn't like the way she lives her life. Audra asks, the other hand? Nikki can't argue with the work she's done. It's impressive. And she did come to Victor when Adam was trying to blackmail her, so he thinks a lot of her. So I have decided to give you a chance. Audra promises she won't regret it. Nikki informs her there's one condition. Let Kyle and Summer have a shot at getting back together. Forget about Kyle. Leave him alone or your future at Newman Media is over. Kyle comes upon Summer in the park and asks, how are you? She says she's good and asks how he is. How's Harrison? Kyle says he's mad about Brussels sprouts and wants an emu. They laugh. Kyle heard that Chloe joined Marchetti and asks how it's going. She says really well. How's everything at Newman Media? Kyle says there's a shakeup and it remains to be seen how he will fare. Summer's sure he'll survive, you always do. Summer tells Kyle that Heather is staying in Genoa City and she agreed to help her with the divorce proceedings. Kyle is sure it's for the best. Summer is too. We both need to move on, right? Kyle says he'd better get back to the office. Summer says, me too, and walks off. Kyle sighs. Nate walks into the jazz bar and Adam calls him the newly appointed Newman Golden Boy. Nate tells him he worked hard. Adam finds it ironic that he's Victor's son and he's out but Nate's still there. He warns the former doctor not to get too comfortable. Billy runs into Jack at Crimson Lights. Jack says, I'm glad you're here. He left several messages apologizing for their misunderstanding. Billy is irked that he thinks that was what it was. Jack reports that he and Ashley have made up. Billy snarks, you bought all that, huh? Jack knows his sister and says, that was real. In her suite, Ashley flashes to John urging her to make the first move to reconcile with her brother in the past. She texts Tucker to ask if he's up for a trip to Paris and asks him to meet her at the airport. I have to get away from all this. She explains she needs to figure things out.